G'day Bomber fans, it's time for another monthly trade rumour video. If you're unaware or new to the channel, once a month I revisit all our trade rumours for the year, go over them, talk about any changes, what's likely, what's unlikely. So these aren't all players I think will be in red and black next year. These are players that I've seen mentioned in relation to our club. Some are legit, some probably not so much, so let's just get into it. We start with Darcy Parish. This is a weird one because a couple of months back he went out of his way to say he wants to stay at Essendon. I think it was Channel 7, they did a little piece on it, which made us all think he would sign on in the coming weeks, but he hasn't. We reportedly have tabled an offer to keep him at Essendon for life. Geelong are obviously very interested as well. We as a club are apparently confident in keeping Parish, but us fans are rightfully growing more and more concerned each week he remains out of contract. It's around 23 now. If a free agent goes this long without signing, he's clearly thinking about something, whether it be contract terms or his future at the club. Zerk-Thatcher, our much improved key back. He's obviously from South Australia originally and is without a contract. He is not a free agent, so a deal with an interested party would have to be negotiated. Port Adelaide are reportedly an interested party. It's always a worry with players in their home state. It wouldn't surprise me if he requests a trade home, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he stays. We really don't know as supporters of the club what he's thinking. There's a bit to play out here, it seems. Bryan, this is all but done, I reckon. He has played for us quite a bit this year. He is a big part of our future. You can tell Brad Scott likes him. Clubs have been interested in the past, Gold Coast specifically, and I'm sure clubs would be interested in him now, but I think he stays at Essendon. Massimo D'Ambrosio had contract talks put on hold as we tried to focus our negotiations on other players. I like him, I think we all do, but I'm sure he has had at least thought about what life would be like at a club that would be interested in playing him more. It seems like he stays, but he has been named on the rumour sheet this year once before. And on to potential targets, Ben McKay is the most obvious one. We have apparently already met with him and his agent. A lot of us fans are not happy with this link. I personally don't see why. I think he's a great player. Big-bodied key back that can intercept. He had a little audition against us in our recent victory. He took about 4 intercept marks in the first quarter. He clearly fits the bill with what we are after. We need a good one-on-one key back that can impact other contests as well, and that's what you get with McKay. I think the main issue is his body. It's been alright this year, but in the past it's let him down. But I like the idea here. We are apparently offering a large contract, which wouldn't be ideal. I have seen the topic of compensation and North receiving a top 5 pick, which would suggest a very large contract. Ideally, we don't pay that much for someone who isn't a certified star yet, but we will see. Nothing's confirmed yet. There are obviously some backup options. Esava Ratugolea from Geelong has been named once or twice before. We were named as a possible link, but we aren't the main one. I'm seeing more about Brisbane and Port Adelaide. We are the main team named with McKay, and I would say the 3rd or 4th or even 5th named with Ratugolea, which you usually get with a backup, but it's not a bad backup to have. He's a fine player. Doedee, we were linked up until his ACL injury. No one is really talking about Doedee anymore. He's not going to be fit until maybe halfway through 2024, which reduces his trade value and need for a move, really. Clubs won't be seeking him out as their first option, so he probably isn't a very good option. Barrass, we aren't really linked. I just thought I would say, but a lot of fans are insisting we turn our attention from McKay to Barrass, who has stated he will stay at Western Australia at the West Coast Eagles. I do think Barrass is the better player, but he doesn't really fit our demographic either. He's soon to be 28. He'll be a veteran a couple of years into his contract with us. If we sign McKay for 5 years, he would finish his contract at 31. If we sign Barrass for 5 years, there is a chance he would probably retire before it's even done. He doesn't have a perfect body either. If we are about the future and building our list in the next few years, I don't see why we would trade for a star player we would only have for a few years at his best. We are supposedly interested in bolstering our wing depth, and what better way to do it than add some strength through Jordon, who we have been linked with alongside Gold Coast and Sydney. He is a really good winger, good tank on him, great decision maker, good positional awareness. I really like him and think he would add a lot to our list, build some nice competition for spots with Sam Durham. Liam Henry is the second winger we have been linked with. I like this one a little bit less because I think Jordon has a point of difference that Durham doesn't. He is less skilled but better in a system. Liam Henry is just skilled. He finds himself out of position a lot. He tore up against us though, which is when we were linked, but not much has been made of this news since. James Harms, look, I feel like I should stop including his name in these videos. It was an early season link. I've heard nothing since. I don't really know why we were linked. Maybe it's something that just happened early into the year and the news just died down. At least I hope so. Orazio Fantasia, this one's not happening either. I don't even know how this news got out because it seems to be false. Fantasia went out of his way to deny it. His manager denied it, I believe. There was around a bit of news that saw him linked with a move back to Essendon, but I'm not buying it. Jade Gresham, look, I don't really know about this one personally. Cal Toomey raised it on Gettable just the other day, said he would be a good fit as a small forward for us. He was really hyped into his early into his career. He kicked plenty of goals as a 19 or 20-year-old. He's stalled a bit since. It would be a big risk. There are other clubs probably more interested in him than us. Dylan Stevens, this is another one we were randomly named with. Cal Toomey, I think, raised it. We were linked in the past. Nothing really that strong, though. Just a few years ago we were named, but he wants a move away from Sydney. He's a very capable player, very classy, high draft pick. He's actually from South Australia, from Norwood at the Redlegs. I played with him there. Weird flex. But yeah, I don't see this happening in 2023. There's been recent links with North Melbourne, but not us this time round. Tom de Koning, we were never really the club talked about. Sydney and St Kilda were the main talking points. We were the backseat passengers, and now even more so because he's probably staying at Carlton. Why would you leave? They are a club in a great spot right now. I know it pains you guys to hear that. Mitch Georgiades, key forward out of Port Adelaide, linked to a host of Victorian clubs. Not us exclusively, but he is another who injured his knee to stall the browsing. He's not going to be in high demand because of his injury. He will likely remain at Port Adelaide. Jake Riccardi, another tall forward who has found some form this year for the first time in a long time, really. He was linked with us a couple of years back, but it fell through when we turned our attention to Peter Wright. Hawthorn are primarily linked now. It makes sense as a move with us, but it's not a number one priority, especially with bigger fish entering free agency next season in his position. Tom Fullarton, another key forward, again, not exclusively linked. He is just out of favour and reportedly considering a move with unnamed Victorian clubs interested. Not us specifically, but like with Riccardi, it makes sense. It makes more sense to me, this one. He would be cheaper, less risk from a trade point of view because we wouldn't give up as much. But again, we aren't linked. I have mostly just seen fans talk about him. West Coast's pick 1, I haven't spoken about this yet. This is on the market. Harley Reid has obviously signalled his interest to stay in Victoria. He is the best player in the draft. He trained with us earlier in this year, played with our VFL team just the other week. We don't really need more midfielders the way we are going, but he is a one-of-a-kind player. He is a generational talent. A lot of you guys talked about trading for him. It's not as easy as giving away players we don't want. I see a lot of comments just asking to get rid of fringe players in bulk for West Coast's pick 1. They will want multiple first-round draft picks for their pick 1. It's a hot commodity. It's near impossible to trade for and win. You have to give up more than you get most of the time. It's possible, but I don't think we can really get that pick with the draft hand we currently have. Just the one first-round pick so far. Not much else after that, and no one really that the Eagles would be interested in for a bulk deal. So I doubt we get this one done unless we get compensation for outgoing players if there are any. Even then, it's unlikely. Pick 5, on the other hand, this is Gold Coast's current draft pick, so it might change if they rise or fall, but Gold Coast will be looking to trade away their highest pick for draft capital to match bids on their academy players, and this is a very good draft. The top 10 is unreal. Lots of talent. If we had a pick in the top 10, I would be pleased. At the moment, it seems like we might not, so trading up to get pick 5, it's an option. We would get rid of our highest pick, which will either be late in the 10s or early teens, and I would say more on top of that second rounder, even future first or second rounder. They will probably give us a packet of chips as well to sweeten the deal, but we're going to be paying a lot for pick 5, which is on the table. Gold Coast don't want it. They want capital, so if we can give them enough draft capital, there is no reason to suggest they won't give us pick 5. Every club will be thinking this right now. But that is that. Those are the trade rumours I have seen involving Essendon. Let me know down below if you have seen any that I didn't mention. Chuck your opinions on players down below. Do whatever you want in the comments. That's your section. You guys run that zone. Give me some ruckman to talk about next time. We aren't linked to any just yet. But that's all. Cheers for watching. Go Bombers.